What do you think of when you hear the word mystery? Well, that's a question you're going to have answered in this video. You're going to learn about Sherlock Holmes, a popular detective character found in many Sherlock Holmes novels, movies, etc. As you watch, think about this. What science did people use back in the old days that weren't available in modern times?
It's a classic mystery story, sometimes called a whodunit, as in, who committed a dreadful crime?
Not an accident, my dear fellow. I'm afraid it's murder.
Collecting clues and solving crimes is the life's work of private detective Sherlock Holmes, one of the most famous characters in literature, and the movies, especially a classic series of films from the 1940s.
Hello? Yes? Inspector Gregson?
Sherlock is often called in to assist the London police, with the help of his friend, Dr. Watson.
Yes, I'll be over at once. Inspector Lestrade.
He gathers evidence at the crime scene, taking note of the tiniest details.
Holmes, you amaze me. Elementary, my dear fellow. One of the first principles in solving crime is never to disregard anything, no matter how trivial.
He uses science and reason to crack the case, and makes it look easy.
Elementary, my dear Watson. This man has been dead for at least 2 hours.
The films are based on books and short stories written from the late 1800s to the 1920s by Arthur Conan Doyle, a London eye doctor. When he invented the character of Sherlock, he imagined his detective using investigation techniques that were still decades away from being used in real life.
He was way ahead of his time. This idea of applying scientific principles to a criminal question, that really began with him.
Nathan Lentz teaches forensics, the use of scientific techniques to analyze evidence and solve criminal mysteries. As a kid, he read Sherlock Holmes stories.
This idea of a man of science just purely following evidence to a young child who's interested in science, as I was, that's very inspiring.
Modern forensic science benefits from high-tech advances like computers, digital photography, and DNA analysis. But Sherlock Holmes was using scientific methods in fiction long before high-tech science came along.
He pioneered many techniques in his stories, which then became science reality later.
For instance, securing a crime scene is standard practice today, but it wasn't in Arthur Conan Doyle's day.
He was the first one to approach a crime scene and say, okay, stop everyone, we can't contaminate the scene, leave everything undisturbed.
Sherlock was also the first to focus on trace evidence, like hairs and fibers,
Gracious me.
and fingerprints, which he often examined using his trusty magnifying glass.
The idea that the fingerprints are there and can be viewed, that was his idea first.
Murderer came in through those French windows.
Sherlock also used footprints and blueprints to track suspects and to estimate their height and weight, or even their age or their profession.
This was a full 30 years before anyone thought to do that in a criminal case, and I'm sure they got the idea from reading the story.
More than 130 years after the first Sherlock Holmes story was published, there are still movies, TV shows, museums, and even popular video games about the famously brilliant detective.
Is there no way of stopping this, Mr. Holmes?
Probably not.
Wow, Sherlock Holmes is a very cool character who uses a lot of techniques to solve mysteries, unlike using computers and other techniques that people use today. I'm thinking of watching a Sherlock Holmes movie right now. Bye, and if you want to know more about forensics, click the link below to check it out.